Let's Just Pretend. Chapter 4. Part 1. The Party Plans. Orm stirred her tea slowly, eyes fixed on the rippling liquid as her family chattered excitedly around her. The long table in the sunroom buzzed with voices, May, Ern, Neen, all speaking over each other about color palettes, flower arrangements, and invitation fonts. Her brother's engagement had barely settled in, and now they were planning hers, or what they thought was hers. "And we'll announce it officially at the garden party next Saturday," Aunt Ern was saying. "It'll be tasteful but festive, nothing over the top." "We want it to feel intimate," her mother added, flipping through a fabric swatch book, "but elegant, a proper celebration for a proper couple." Orm's grip tightened on her teacup. "Don't you think it's a bit soon?" Neen waved her off with a dramatic sigh. "Darling, when you know, you know. And you and Ling, well, it was always obvious." Across the table, Ling looked completely at ease. She sat back in her chair, one arm slung casually over the backrest, watching the entire operation with faint amusement. When she caught Orm's eye, she gave her a wink. Orm stomached at a backflip. Later, in the hallway away from the family swarm, Orm rounded on her. "You could have said something. You're letting them plan a full engagement party." Ling shrugged, smug. "Why would I stop them? I'm having fun." "Fun? This is supposed to be fake." Ling stepped closer, eyes glittering. "You want me to act like your fiancé? I'm doing a great job. You're the one blushing every time I hold your hand." Orm scoffed. "I'm not blushing, it's just hot. It's air-conditioned. Then it's—" "Shut up, Ling." Ling laughed, low and easy. "You're cute when you're defensive." Orm turned away, annoyed at how fast her pulse was racing. Ling followed behind her, voice dropping an octave. "You know, if this were real, I'd be even worse. I'd kiss you in front of everyone, hold you like you're mine, maybe even slip a hand under the table just to make you squirm." "Ling!" Orm hissed. Ling grinned, completely unrepentant. "Just saying, I'm committed to the role." Orm stalked off, heart thudding in her ears. This was fine. It was just Ling being Ling, just a game, so why did it feel more real every time she looked at her? Orm forced a smile as Neen started discussing what kind of music the quartet should play when guests arrived. "Nothing too modern," she declared. "We don't want that boom-boom stuff." "Boom-boom stuff?" Orm muttered. Ling leaned over. "You heard her, no boom-boom, baby." Orm elbowed her under the table, cheeks glowing. "Stop." May was scribbling notes in her wedding planner. "We'll need a full floral arch, maybe jasmine and orchids. Orm's allergic to roses, right?" "She sneezes like a gremlin," Ling supplied helpfully. Orm's mouth dropped. "Ling?" "I find it charming," she added, voice syrupy sweet. Ern glanced over the rim of her glasses. "We'll need matching outfits, coordinated at least. You two have such different palettes. Maybe a soft lavender theme?" "Lavender's romantic," Neen sighed wistfully, "very suitable for two young lovers." Orm glanced at Ling, who was pretending to be deeply engrossed in a piece of pineapple tart. She looked maddeningly pleased with herself. After a full hour of chaotic planning, Orm finally escaped with Ling in tow. The moment they stepped into the hallway, Orm turned around and pressed a finger into Ling's chest. "You think this is hilarious, don't you?" Ling smiled. "Too close." "A little. They're picking out invitation fonts. They think this is real. Well, they're not wrong." Orm blinked. "What does that mean?" Ling shrugged. "It means you're playing pretend, but I'm starting to think you like it." "I don't." Ling's eyes softened, and she brushed a strand of hair behind Orm's ear. "Liar." Orm froze. The hallway was quiet, but the sound of her heartbeat filled the space. She stepped back, clearing her throat. "You're impossible." "And yet you agreed to be my fiancé," Ling murmured. "Strange, isn't it?" Orm turned away before her smile could betray her. She told herself again what she always did. Ling was dangerous. Ling could break her. Staying friends was safer, cleaner. So why was her heart already acting like it belonged to her? Chapter 4. Part 2. The Fiancé Reveal. The next afternoon, Orm stood stiffly at the front steps of the mansion, watching as a sleek black car pulled into the circular drive. The tires barely crunched on the pristine gravel. She smoothed her dress for the third time and told herself to breathe. "They're just your friends," she muttered. "They're about to meet your fiancé," Ling added cheerfully beside her, slinging an arm across Orm's shoulders. "Big moment. Please behave. I always behave. That's the problem." Before Ling could answer, the car door opened and 3 of Orm's old school friends spilled out: Ploy, Min, and June. All 3 were stylish, smiling and glittering with accessories that screamed old money and petty chaos. "Orm!" Ploy squealed, rushing forward to wrap her in an unnecessarily tight hug. "It's been forever." Min stepped up next. "You look amazing. Post-college glow-up?" "And this must be Ling," June said, looking her up and down like she was a painting in a gallery, one she very much wanted to steal. Ling offered a charming smile and shook each of their hands. "Nice to finally meet the people who survived school with her." "Oh, we didn't survive, we conquered," Ploy declared. "Orm's always been the prettiest and the grumpiest, but now look at her, glowing. You must be doing something right." Ling smiled. "I try." Orm stepped in. "Why don't we sit in the garden? Tea's set up." They walked toward the patio, and Orm could practically hear the girls' thoughts buzzing. Every time Ling poured a cup of tea or laughed at a joke, someone leaned a little closer. Compliments flew like butterflies, about Ling's hair, her smile, her arms. And Ling, the traitor, was loving it. Orm sat silently, her grip tightening on the edge of her saucer. June giggled at something Ling said and touched her arm lightly. "You're so funny. Are you sure you're really engaged? You seem too charming to be taken." "Unfortunately for you, she is," Orm said, her voice just a little too loud. Everyone turned to her. Orm blinked. "I mean, she's mine, officially." Ling raised an eyebrow. "Aw, baby, you jealous?" Orm stood abruptly. "I'm going to check on my horse." And she stormed off before her ears caught fire. Min leaned in close, eyes sparkling. "So, Ling, what do you do when you're not looking ridiculously good beside Orm?" "I run a small logistics company," Ling said casually. Ploy's brows lifted. "Brains and biceps. Damn, Orm, you always did aim high." "Ling's always been good at everything," Orm muttered, unsure if it was pride or irritation in her own voice. June was shameless. "You work out, right? I mean, obviously. You have that I could lift a car if I needed to vibe." Orm glared into her teacup. Ling smirked, glancing sideways at her. "I try to stay in shape. I like being useful." "Bet you're very useful," June said, eyes raking slowly over Ling's form. Orm couldn't take it. She dropped her spoon with a clatter. "Wow, June, I didn't realize this was speed dating." June blinked, faux innocent. "I was just being friendly." "Friendly doesn't require drooling." "Orm," Ling said softly, but there was a hint of amusement in her tone that only made it worse. "And you—" Orm turned to Ling, eyes narrowing. "Could maybe act like you're taken?" Ling leaned back, clearly enjoying herself. "I didn't realize you needed me to prove it." "Oh, I'll prove something," Orm muttered and stood, cheeks hot, throat tight. Ploy blinked. "Where are you going?" "To breathe, and to visit someone who doesn't flirt with my fiancé every 5 seconds." "Who?" Min asked, bewildered. "My horse," Orm snapped, and stormed off across the yard. She didn't look back, but she felt their eyes on her, the laughter, the whispers, Ling's smirk. It made her skin prickle and her chest feel tight. She told herself she was being ridiculous. This was fake. Ling didn't owe her anything, so why did it feel like Ling had betrayed her? By the time she reached the barn, her hands were trembling. Chapter 4. Part 3. The Barn. The barn was quiet, dimly lit by the slats of golden sunlight cutting through the gaps in the wood. Orm paced between the stalls, her boots crunching softly over the straw-strewn floor. Her mare lifted her head at the sound, ears flicking, but Orm didn't approach her yet. She needed to breathe. The scent of hay, leather, and dust helped clear her head more than anything else had all day. She leaned against a wooden beam and let her eyes close. How dare Ling smile at them like that, laugh at their flirty comments like it was funny? They were supposed to be faking this thing, not turning it into some seductive show. And then there were the looks, those soft, unreadable gazes Ling kept throwing at her when she thought no one was looking. It was driving her insane. Footsteps crunched behind her. "I said I wanted to be alone," Orm called out, not turning around. Ling's voice was calm but firm. "You fell off a horse the last time you stormed off. I'm not taking any chances." Orm clenched her jaw and still didn't face her. "Go back to your fan club." There was a pause. Then Ling said quietly, "Why are you really upset?" Orm spun around. "Are you serious? They were all over you." "And I handled it," Ling said. "I didn't flirt back. Not really." "You didn't have to. Just existing was enough." Ling stepped closer. "You sound jealous." "I'm not jealous," Orm snapped. This is all fake. You're not supposed to make it harder for me." Ling's eyes darkened. "Harder how?" Orm swallowed. "You know how." For a second they stood in silence, then Ling moved. 1 step, 2, until she was right in front of her. "You want me to stop making it real," Ling murmured, "but every time I look at you, it already is." Orm's breath caught. "Don't!" Ling kissed her. It wasn't soft. It wasn't hesitant. It was acclaiming. Orm's hands hit Ling's chest to push her away, but stayed there. Her knees weakened. When Ling deepened the kiss, Orm made a sound in her throat and gave in completely. Orm's breath was ragged when they pulled apart. "This isn't fair." Ling pressed their foreheads together. "Nothing about this has been fair since you asked me to play pretend." Orm's voice trembled. "I can't do this if you keep making me feel like it's real." "But it is," Ling whispered. "You just don't want to admit it." Orm's eyes shimmered with unshed emotion. She tried to step away, but Ling held her waist firmly. "Tell me to stop," Ling said, "and I will." Orm opened her mouth, but the words didn't come. Instead, her hands slid up Ling's chest, knotting in her shirt. Ling kissed her again, slower this time, hands drifting down to Orm's hips, guiding her backward until Orm's back hit the wooden stall wall. The scent of hay surrounded them, thick and earthy. Orm gasped as Ling dropped to her knees, fingers trailing up her thighs beneath the edge of her dress. "Ling," she tried, weakly. "Shh," Ling murmured, hooking her fingers around the hem of Orm's underwear and sliding them down. "Let me take care of you." Orm's head dropped back against the wood with a soft thud as Ling leaned in and kissed her inner thigh. Then her mouth found Orm's center, soft and hot and slow at first. Deliberate. Orm let out a broken sound, her fingers tangling in Ling's hair. Ling sucked gently, then flicked her tongue in slow circles, gradually building speed. When Orm started trembling, she slid 1 finger inside, then 2. Orm whimpered. "It's too much." "You're perfect," Ling whispered, thrusting her fingers carefully while her mouth kept working. When Orm cried out and came, her legs nearly gave out. Ling stood quickly and caught her, kissed her again, this time tasting her on her lips. Orm blinked through the haze. "What now?" Ling smirked. "Now it's your turn to lie down." She laid Orm on a bed of hay, climbed on top of her, and pressed their bodies together. Orm moaned as their centers touched. Ling rocked into her slowly, then harder, their slick skin sliding, grinding. Orm's hands grabbed blindly at her shoulders, her thighs, her back. They moved together faster, the barn filled with soft gasps and desperate moans. They came together, tangled, breathless, and finally quiet. For a long moment, they just lay there. Ling brushed Orm's damp hair from her face. "You can keep pretending if you want." Orm didn't answer, but she didn't let go either. Chapter 4, Part 4. Aftermath. They didn't speak at first. Orm lay on her back in the soft hay, her dress rucked up around her waist, her chest rising and falling fast. Ling was beside her, one arm flung casually behind her head like they'd just finished a nap instead of whatever that had been. Outside, birds chirped, and somewhere far off someone called for tea. Ling turned her head. "You okay?" Orm nodded slowly, then shook her head. I don't know. Ling propped herself up on one elbow and looked down at her. That was something. Orm glanced away. You're not going to make a joke? Not this time. Silence stretched between them again, thick and fragile. Finally, Orm sat up and started fixing her dress. Ling watched her but didn't move. I'm not good at this, Orm muttered. Feelings, talking. Ling reached out and tucked a piece of hay from her hair. You're doing fine. I just wanted you to stop being so good at faking it. Ling's brow furrowed. Is that what you think I'm doing? Orm didn't answer. Ling sat up. I'm not faking. I haven't been faking anything since the day you looked at your family and said I was yours. Orm's eyes snapped to hers. I want this, Ling said simply. But I'm not going to push you. Orm looked away, her voice barely audible. I don't know what I want. Ling stood, brushing hay from her clothes. Then figure it out, but don't take too long. She offered her hand to help Orm up. Orm took it. Back at the house, no one seemed to notice their absence, or if they did, they pretended not to. Orm's mother was laughing in the garden with guests. Her cousins were taking selfies. Everything looked exactly the same. Only Orm felt different, like her skin no longer fit quite right. As she walked beside Ling, their hands brushed. She didn't pull away. As they walked the dirt path back toward the house, Orm kept sneaking glances at Ling from the corner of her eye. She looked calm. Too calm. Like she hadn't just turned Orm inside out in the barn. You're quiet, Ling said softly without looking at her. I'm thinking. Ling nodded. Thinking if it was a mistake? Orm hesitated. Thinking if I can survive this. Ling's gaze flicked to her, sharp and unreadable. I don't mean that in a bad way, Orm added quickly. Just, you're intense. I've always been intense. I know, but before it wasn't aimed at me. They reached the back porch. Pausing just before the steps, Ling turned to face her, her voice quieter now. You don't have to be scared of me. I'm not. You are. Orm crossed her arms. I'm scared of what I want, and I'm scared that maybe you're not just faking anymore either. Ling didn't smile this time. You're right. Orm's stomach twisted. Then what happens now? Now? Ling said, brushing her fingers along Orm's wrist gently. You stop lying to yourself. They walked into the house side by side, not touching. The chaos of the gathering swallowed them up. Music playing, food being laid out, relatives chattering in clusters across the patio. Orm's aunt saw them and waved. There you two are. We were just saying how inseparable you've become, like real soulmates. Someone else clapped. Get used to hearing that at the party. Orm gave a tight smile. Ling just nodded politely, but her eyes kept flicking to Orm, checking, measuring. Orm excused herself and retreated to the kitchen. She needed a glass of water. Maybe 10. But the second she was alone, she pressed her fingers to her lips. They still tingled. Maybe she was in trouble. She poured a glass, sipped, and told herself to stop thinking. It didn't work. Chapter 4, Part 5. Denial is a warm blanket. Orm had always considered herself good at pretending she wasn't anxious when her mom nagged her about being single, pretending she didn't notice how often her eyes drifted to Ling's lips when they laughed, pretending that sharing a bed with her best friend didn't set her body on fire. So when she woke up the next morning and acted like nothing had happened in the barn, she thought she was doing pretty well. She brushed her hair, picked a yellow sundress, and smiled through breakfast like she hadn't cried out Ling's name with her fingers tangled in her shirt. Ling, meanwhile, was a problem. She kept watching Orm like she was trying to read her mind, or her heart. Calm, unreadable Ling. But there was heat in her gaze now. Pressure. When their hands brushed, Ling didn't look away. Neither did Orm. "Morning, girls," Aunt Nita said, passing through the dining room. "Sleep well?" Orm nearly choked on her juice. Ling didn't even blink. "Very." Orm coughed harder. Throughout the day, it only got worse. Everyone noticed something was different. Her grandmother smiled at them too knowingly. Her cousin May kept asking if she and Ling had picked colors yet. Ploy sent a message that said, "You looked flushed yesterday, I hope the horse ride was worth it." And still, Orm held on to her illusion of control. She stayed busy. She helped arrange decorations for the party. She pretended not to see Ling's eyes lingering on her. She refused to react when Ling wrapped an arm around her waist during a photo, but her heartbeat wouldn't listen. Later that evening, she found herself sitting under the big mango tree behind the stables, hugging her knees. She thought about everything Great-Grandma had said about love and fear and holding back. Was she still holding back? Or had she already fallen, and now she was just pretending she could get back up? By mid-afternoon, Orm was balancing a tray of lemonade glasses while Ling hung lanterns overhead on the patio string lights. Every time Ling stretched upward, shirt riding up just slightly, Orm nearly walked into something. "You good?" Ling asked, catching her staring. "Great," Orm replied too quickly. "Why wouldn't I be?" Ling smirked and jumped off the stool. "You tell me." Orm thrust a glass at her. "Hydrate. You're sweating all over the decorations." Ling accepted it but didn't break eye contact. "You're doing that thing again." "What thing?" "The thing where you act like everything's normal, even when your cheeks are pink and you keep avoiding looking at my mouth." "I do not." "You do," Ling said simply, sipping. "It's cute." Orm's whole body flushed. She stomped back to the drinks table before she said something embarrassing. From across the garden, her mother watched them with narrowed eyes and a growing smile. Then she pulled her phone out, snapping a quick picture like they were already married in mid-honeymoon glow. Orm escaped to the kitchen where Great-Grandma was peeling fruit. "Sit," the old woman said without looking. "I'm fine." "Sit anyway." Orm sat. The old woman passed her a slice of mango. "You've got that restless look in your eyes, like your heart's tripping over something." Orm nibbled on the mango. "Maybe." "Is it love?" "I don't know what it is." "Then it's probably love. The things we can't name are always the most dangerous." Orm frowned. "And what do I do with it?" Great-Grandma shrugged. "Let it scare you, then let it carry you." That night, when the fairy lights blinked on and the garden looked like something out of a wedding catalog, Orm watched Ling laugh with her cousins from a distance. She looked so at home. Orm pressed a hand to her chest, trying to make it slow down. She couldn't pretend forever.